week. And very happy to introduce Scott Parsons, who's the Vice President of Exploration from Alamos Gold, who will be sharing his company's activities in Northwestern Ontario and the exciting things happening there. So Scott, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and good afternoon, everybody, and thank you to the conference for the opportunity for me to be here today to introduce Alamos Gold and to provide an overview of our plans for our growth and expansion in the coming years. On to the next slide, if I can advance it here. There we go. By way of introduction, Alamos is a Canadian-based intermediate gold producer with diversified production from 3 operating mines. All of those mines are based in North America. Alamos has grown considerably since it was founded in 2003. In 2014, Alamos was a single asset producer operating the Mulatos mine in northwestern Mexico. At that time, we were producing approximately 150,000 ounces of gold per year. Since then, we've completed 2 significant acquisitions and have transformed the company into a 500,000 ounce a year diversified gold producer. Over 2/3 of this production and the revenues come from our Young-Davidson and Island gold mines, both located in Northern Ontario. We directly employ over 1,800 people globally. Our people have, and they will continue to be the key of our company's successful growth and our execution of our business. Of the 1,800 employees, 1,000 of them are here in Ontario. Our core values of safety and teamwork, environmental sustainability, integrity, and commitment drive everything that we do. On this slide, we show the location of our producing mines and development projects. In growing Alamos into what it is today, we have focused on high quality, long life assets in great jurisdictions. We're expecting to produce close to 500,000 ounces of gold this year, 70% of that production from Canada. Each of our mines have relatively long mine lives, averaging 12 years between them, and they're all anchored behind a 10 million ounce mineral reserve base. This positions us as a stable, diversified gold producer with an enviable political risk profile. On top of that, we have a strong portfolio of attractive growth projects, including our Lynn Lake project in Manitoba, which I'll highlight towards the end of the presentation. Our growth profile is really what sets us apart from all of our peers. Our pipeline of organic growth projects is expected to contribute to 50% production growth between now and 2025. We will be able to demonstrate strong growth while the rest of the industry is facing declining mining lives and rates of production. While expanding our gold production, our margins and profitability will also improve dramatically. We're anticipating a 30% reduction in our all-in sustaining costs from the current levels to $800 per ounce by 2025. Our corporate strategy has always been conservative and low risk. We're focusing on safe jurisdictions, high quality assets, and we're financially conservative. Maintaining this conservative balance sheet has enabled us to take a counter-cyclical approach to our mergers and acquisitions. We've had the financial strength to acquire companies at the bottom of the market. We have a sustainable business model that supports increasing returns over the long term, and the results speak for themselves as we delivered a 13% annualized return to shareholders over the course of our 18-year history. I'll now speak about our Canadian assets in a bit more detail, starting with Young-Davidson, which is located in Matachewan, Ontario, just west of Kirkland Lake. It's one of Canada's largest underground gold mines. 90% of our workforce at Young-Davidson is local, and we're an important employer in the region with over 15% of total mining employment. Young-Davidson also contributes significantly to the local economy with over 17 million of economic benefits to the regional economy on an annual basis. We have a 14-year reserve life at Young-Davidson and with significant exploration potential, which I'm extremely excited about on top of that, which will ensure this operation is a significant employer and contributor to the local economy for decades to come. In 2020, we completed the construction of our lower mine infrastructure at Young-Davidson, which enabled us to increase our daily mining rates from 6,000 to 8,000 tons a day. This expansion has made Young-Davidson far more efficient and productive, and it'll enable it to consistently produce 200,000 ounces of gold a year. And at current gold prices, it'll generate $100 million annual free cash flow. Our Island Gold Mine has been a tremendous success story since we acquired it in November of 2017. Since then, when we acquired it, the deposit contained 1.8 million ounces of mineral reserves and resources. Since then, we've added an additional 3 million ounces of gold. And at the same time, we expanded mining rates from 800 to 1,200 tons per day. Island Gold's now approaching 5 million ounces of mineral reserves and resources, and is one of the highest grade, most profitable gold mines in the world. We're currently investing in expanding the operation from mining rates of 1,200 tons a day to 2,000 tons per day by 2025. Island's an important employer in the region. It accounts for 15% of total mining employment in Algoma region. The mine also contributes significantly to the local economy with nearly 12 million of economic benefits to the regional economy on an annual basis. As mentioned, the phenomenal exploration success we've had at Island Gold, we're investing in sinking a shaft and expanding the mining operation to 2,000 tons a day. This will bring annual gold production from the current rate of 140,000 ounces per year to approximately 240,000 ounces a year, and driving all-in sustaining costs to industry low levels of around $530 per ounce. While our current plans for growth at Island are exciting, we believe there's more growth to come. The graph on the left of this slide showcases the tremendous exploration success that we've had to date, and we fully anticipate this growth to continue. This year, we announced the best, highest grade drill result ever reported at Island at depth into the east. We're continuing to drill following up down plunge and look forward to ongoing exploration success. And we see potential for Island to significantly grow in value in the years ahead. Our three North American mines and global development projects provide a strong platform and foundation for long-term value for all of our stakeholders. Our diversified asset base delivers stable and long gold production with a portfolio of low-cost development projects that offer peer-leading multi-stage and fully funded growth opportunities. On the next slide, I'll provide some details on our Lynn Lake project, which is an important and really underappreciated part of our growth story in Canada. The Lynn Lake project is a high-grade open pit project in an area with good infrastructure, access to low-cost hydro-generated electrical power, and is located in a very supportive mining jurisdiction in northwestern Manitoba. We completed a feasibility study in 2017, and at $1,500 per ounce gold, the project had an after-tax rate of return of 22%. Since 2017, we've increased mineral reserves by 26%. They now total 2.1 million ounces at Lynn Lake. We've also developed a much better appreciation of the strong exploration potential that we see both around the deposits and regionally. Having tied up a large 80-kilometer long greenstone belt, we see excellent opportunity to grow that reserve base as we move forward. We're more than halfway through a 2-year permitting process for Lynn Lake, which should put us in a position to make a construction decision before the second half of 2022. Assuming we move ahead, we expect operations to start producing at a rate of 170,000 ounces a year, with a low all-in sustaining cost of $745 per ounce beginning in 2025. ESG has become a much bigger focus of the market in recent years, but it's not anything new to us or even to the industry for that matter. ESG has been a core part of our culture since the company was founded in 2003, and is our focus, and we continue to focus on improvement, which I think is evident in our track record and many of the initiatives we have underway. We're continuously looking for ways to minimize our impact and reduce our footprint. Our greenhouse gas emissions and water usage per ounce of gold produced are well below the intermediate and senior producer average. These are metrics we continue to look to improve with initiatives underway across all of our operations. Under the social umbrella, we are focused on a culture of safety first and are seeing results with a 59% decrease in our lost time injury rates over the last 2 years. Through our Home Safe Everyday program, this is an area where we're always striving to do better. Within our host communities, we invest in ways that will provide ongoing benefits well beyond the life of our operations, and we've been recognized for these efforts. On my last point, with respect to governance, we maintain a diverse and independent board, and we've built and continue to refine a framework to ensure accountability to all of our stakeholders. Core value of Alamos is health and safety, and we have the Home Safe Everyday program that governs our safety practices and our commitment to continuous improvement. Our response to the COVID-19 pandemic exemplified our focus on safety. We're very proactive in implementing procedures and protocols to minimize the impact of COVID-19. Early on, we hired independent medical advisors to support with the development of new social distancing and related policies and procedures in the workplace. We're one of the first companies in Canada to conduct screening of our employees to keep COVID-19 away from our mine sites. Since 2020, we've conducted over 100,000 COVID tests across our site, and continue to do so. With that, I'll wrap up my presentation and close off by saying that Alamos is pleased to have been able to continue to focus its growth in Canada and specifically in Northern Ontario, and we continue to plan to do so in the years ahead. thank you very much for the opportunity.
Scott, thank you for sharing the story about Young-Davidson. It certainly is. It's one of those real shining examples of what can happen when the right people end up doing the right thing and you come up with the right results. Yeah, sometimes it's you're rolling the dice, but we all like to think that it's a lot more than that, isn't it?
Certainly is, and I think the geology has to speak for itself. As a geologist, I'll say that the geology drives the deposit and the operation at the end of the day. So.
Outstanding. So we're going to open it up for questions. I'm guessing that we've got a bunch of folks that do have questions that want to pop in. And so if you do have a question, go ahead and type it in the chat function. Just makes it a little bit simpler so we don't have to open up the microphones here and get a little bit chaotic, which can happen. We can certainly do that if you want to ask a question in person or flip your camera on. We can certainly make that happen. If you want to have your hand up. John Mason, John, are you in the room? I know, John, you've taken the opportunity, I think, to share a thought or two with just about every. John, are you with us at this particular presentation? Going once, going twice. No, John is off doing some other things. Busy guy up at the Thunder Bay Economic Development Corporation, in charge of their mining portfolio. Okay, so I'm just paying attention here. Here we go. All right, from Rick Harper. Rick says, was Lynn Lake an open pit or an underground?
We're considering it as two open pit mines. So there's two sites, the Gordon site, which was historically an open pit mine in the late 80s, in two small open pits, and we're contemplating the project now as one larger open pit. The McClellan mine, which is closer to the town of Lynn Lake, also operated in the late 80s, and it was an underground mine. So it produced about 300 ounces of gold at roughly 5.5 grams per ton. But again, we're looking at the project now as an open pit project.
Scott, while we're waiting for a couple other questions here, just let me ask you a question about human resources. I'm guessing that like most companies these days, your human resources department is in constant motion. They're never sleeping, looking for good people. How would you describe your body count right now?
Yeah, it's obviously challenges within the industry across the board with competition given the state of the industry globally and in Canada. We're doing quite well. I think we've positioned our assets and our operations and our exploration projects, which I can speak to in particular, as projects that people want to work on. They're leading operations in Canada. They're projects that have long lives ahead of them, and people can see multi-decades of employment and opportunity as we continue to grow those operations. And I can speak for our exploration programs. We're doing some pretty good work across the board, and it's exciting for geologists looking for opportunities to work for Alamos across our operations and our exploration projects. As we continue to make new discoveries and grow our deposits.
Awesome. Question here from Mike Desolates. Mike says, what is your underground and surface electric vehicle strategy? Is all your power, grid power, and do you have any behind the meter green if it is?
As far as I'm aware, and again, I'm oversee exploration, so I could point you in the right direction, but we are on grid power at Island Gold and Young-Davidson. Obviously, as technology is improving, we're looking at various opportunities to continue to improve our carbon or reduce our carbon footprint. So those kind of ideas are all part of our continuous improvement strategies and are being considered at our sites.
I think it goes without saying as well that the industry, you can't move forward in terms of investor confidence without having those kinds of strategies in today's market. If you're in the mining space, you've got to be environmentally conscious, and you've got to be very sensitive to the whole emergence of electric vehicles and so on and so forth. So as a company, I'm always surprised that in a lot of respects that companies are the brunt of whether it's criticism or outside commentary, when they probably don't understand that as a company, you can't operate unless you have those kinds of philosophies, if you will, embedded in your culture.
Yeah, and the additional point I'll make too, even in our development projects in Canada, when you look at Lynn Lake, it is on the current electrical infrastructure grid, and will require some upgrades. But again, I think it's a key part of both our operating mines and our development projects is the accessibility of that infrastructure and low cost electricity, and it does open up doors for initiatives in terms of electric vehicles and looking at other opportunities that leverage that grid power.
Awesome. Scott, thanks for a great presentation. Lots of comments here from people saying, great presentation, great information. Appreciate you carving out a piece of your day today to be with the Mining the Northwest virtual trade show here on this particular platform, brought to you by Canadian TradeX and some great sponsors, including MNP. So Graham, if I could get you to just pop your microphone and your camera back on. Folks, at the top of the hour, we're going to hear from Jeff, who is the exploration manager for Clean Air Metals. And Jeff has graciously offered to give up a little bit of the floor to Graham. Graham lost his moment in the sunshine this morning when we kicked things off. Graham was the recipient of the technical speed bump that we had today. So Graham, do you want to just give everybody just a little sense of what you're going to share with us at the top of the hour, and then we're going to give the floor to Jeff at that point?
Sure. Thanks, Kevin. So I really appreciate Jeff giving up a bit of his time, and thanks, Scott, for a great presentation and exciting information from Alamos. So I'll be giving a brief presentation on stakeholder engagement consultation best practices. This is from MNP's perspective, our experience. Give you a case study of a recent project that we did with the CDC in Thunder Bay, and then talk about some of the principles, guidelines, key messaging, and so forth that you can use and apply when you're embarking on your next project or internal initiative and so forth. So it'll be a brief presentation, and I appreciate Jeff's gracious sparing of some minutes for me to talk to everyone today.
Well, I twisted his arm a little bit, and you know what? He was very quick to say no problem at all. So Jeff, thank you for doing that again, and Scott, thank you. Graham, we'll see everybody at the top of the hour, so we got a little bit of extra time here.